Welcome to Ceiven Coding Academy. Today we want to talk about grid. So if you check very well, I've opened my VS Code. This is my VS Code. There's nothing on the VS Code. I just create a folder for that, and I name the folder grid.css. Okay, grid, just grid. Okay, grid. Then under the grid, I now open a file. I name the file grid.html, index.html, and then the style sheet I call it grid.css. Okay, so that's just the two things I've done so far. Create the first file index.html, and second file for our CSS grid.css. And I think that is all for now. So I now put my index.html so nothing is there, everything is empty. So as usual, I want to bring the HTML skeleton by holding my shift key, press 1 or just press exclamation mark and press enter. Then under the title, I want to put the document. Under that document, move the document and write grid tutorial. Okay, grid tutorial. So very soon we'll go to what is grid, but then let us just set everything up and then discuss what is grid. So the next for me to link up my index with my CSS. So I'll click link, then grid.css, grid.css, Ctrl S for save. Let me save my work. So just like Flexbox, grid has almost similarity. Okay, while one is one-dimensional, Flexbox, grid is two-dimensional. Okay, and they share, they serve as alignment. They have to align text, align image, align everything you can think of. It's majorly alignment. Okay, so since they are like Flexbox, we want to start with container and then the item, which is the child element. But you may think that, oh, let me just focus on Flexbox since grid is almost something like Flexbox. But of course you won't, because if I'm to advise, I would say you should learn the two, because the two have their own function. They have their own way of helping you. So without much ado, don't worry, we're going to go to grid very soon. We're going to go to tutorial about grid, but let's just create our HTML first. So let's start with the container. So I'll do my container, container, bring it down as usual, div.container. So under this class of container, I want to have like, let's say 12, okay, 12 items on it, 12 items. And I want to show you the practical way, the easiest way you can actually get these 12 items without having to start writing div.item 1, item 12 to 12. No. So watch me as we do that. So I just start with the first one, .item, since that's what I'm looking for, .item. Then immediately you type your .item, hold your shift key, open your code browser, write on the code browser, rewrite item, okay, then give a space, put your $sign, okay, $sign, then times it by the number of items that you want it to appear immediately. So we times it by 12, so I want the item to be up to 12 times 12, right? Then you press enter and the 12 item will appear straight away. Look at it. It's like 12 item with item 1 up to 12 and also the class of item. So let's do Ctrl S for save and see if our work is, everything is fine. So go to index.html, right click your index.html, open with Lifesaver. Let us see what we did so far, if it's working well. Of course, 1 to 12 is there. So without much ado, let's go to our CSS. I'll just do the normal CSS stuff that doesn't concern grid. I'll go ahead and discuss with you some things you need to know about grid, what grid is all about, and then we'll go on practically to talk about grid. So as usual, these are what we've learned before now, so they're not new thing to you. Let's do universal selector and open our code browser, bring it down. So let's create a box sizing, should be border box, box sizing, let it be border box. Then let's make the margin 0. You know why I'm making it 0, right? That we cancel everything that has been there before now, all the default settings, right? Margin 0, then padding 0, okay, padding 0, padding 0. So we cancel everything. We now come about our body. Let's try and create a body. Open your code browser as well. So under the body, let's start with the font family. Let's start with the font family, and I'll prefer to use, you can use anything you like, okay. So but for me, I would like to use Arial, vertical, and sans serif. Then after that, I go to font size, okay, font size, uh, font size. So for the font size, I want to use 16 pixels, but you can use any pixels, it doesn't mean anything. So I use 16 pixels. So after that, I go to line height. So I grab my line height, and for the line height, I would like to use 1.5. But you can also use anything. Okay, these are not compulsory, but I just want to make sure that my work is fine. So these are things that you've done before now, just so you kind of refreshing your memories on things that we did before now. So let's add a color to our text. So I think can be, let's make it a color of antiquate. Then let us also add a background color to the body. Does it need that background color to our text? Then I think we should add a background color to the body so that everything will still look very well. Okay, so let's add background color to our body. So background color, just for you to see, it's not compulsory. These are not compulsory, but let's just do it. Or let me make it aqua like this. Okay, press for save. So let's go ahead and then create our container. These are normal things. We are not working with grid. Okay, before we go to grid, I will explain things to you before we enter grid. Okay, dot container. And for the container, I want to have a mass width. Okay, a mass width of 960 pixels. 960. It can be any size. Okay, but I just want to do it 960. Okay, 960 pixels. Then I'll then go ahead and add a margin and padding to it. Okay, so I'll do my margin to be 100 pixels auto. You can decide anything you want to do yours. It's not compulsory, but if you want to follow my pattern to do the same thing, 100 pixels auto. Then let's give him a padding of say 10 pixels. Okay, padding 10 pixels. Okay, padding of 10 pixels. I think that should be okay for the container. Remember, because it's a parent, all we're going to do be here on container. Okay, so then we will come back to container, but let's just stop here. All the grid, you remember we are doing flexbox. When you start with parent or flexbox, we also did everything here. So let's go to the item, and which is the child. Let's try and add some bit of CSS to the test of styling to make the child okay. Dot item. But let's for save as well. So we come to the item side. I should start with font size, right? Font size. You can start with anything, but let me start with font size. Okay. Font size. Let me make it 18 pixels. 18 pixels. Okay. Then I'll come down and I have to add. I'll add a padding. Then padding should be okay. I'll add a padding to it. Add a padding of say I think 10 pixels should be fine. Padding of 10 pixels should be okay. Add a thing so because I don't want to. I want to make sure that there's a kind of space, on inside. It won't just be clumsy, so to say. Okay, so I will add my background color and color so I will be able to see what I'm doing. So let me add a border first. Let me add a border, and let me make the border 2 pixels or solid, or did I use blue? No, let me use biscuit. Okay, solid biscuit. So because already something like a kind of white blue is there already. Then I'll now add a background color. Background color. Background color of what should I use? That one color that will bring this out. Background color of azure should be fine. But with azure, with our what be okay. Let's try black because we make our text white so the text can appear. Okay, so I think that should be all. Do we still need to add anything? Let me just think. What else do you think I can add here? Font size, after background color, padding, then border. Okay, I think that should be okay. Oh, let me color the text. Let me color the text so that the text, let me color it white. Okay, let me just add color to the text. Since we add background color, that so I'll be able to see if there's anything there. So I'll color the text white. Okay, let it be just white. Okay, so S for save. Yeah, I want this is exactly what I want so I can see what we are writing. Okay, you can also center if you want to. So now that we've accomplished all of this, let's now move on to grid. Before we move on to grid, I'd like to give you a little theory about grid. So what actually is grid? Okay, a grid is a layer that has rows and columns. That's what I mean by two dimension. One is row, one is column, right? So that is what grid is all about. So you can have, and when I mean rows and columns, the rows can be of 3 columns, 2 rows. Can also be of different sizes, maybe 3 rows, 3 columns, 30 rows, 30 columns, okay? But just that must have rows and columns, okay? And the size can be anything, any size, depending on exactly what the person, your client, or what you want to achieve, okay? So having said this, that is also a little tutorial about grid. You can go read them up again if you want to. You can Google them. You can go to your FDM docs and the rest of them, okay? So without wasting time, let's now go ahead and start our grid. So for us to do anything, we come to container, and let's, for example, if you want to start with flex before now, when we are doing flex, what we do? Use display. If I say display flex, let's see what will happen. Display flex, and I ask Ctrl S. This will happen. Immediately it switch like a light and everything display as flex. All right. But what about grid? If I say display grid, because for you to work with, you must also display grid. See what happened at display grid and see. Remember it was before now, before it turned to, because I use display flex. So let me use display grid. Okay, Ctrl S for save. You find out that everything is normal. The first setting is still there. It didn't show anything. So that is grid for you. So immediately you display grid, you won't see anything, unlike flex. Flex immediately display flex. Are you getting the difference now? But now, how do we now make grid to apply here? We want to, there's what we call grid column, grid row. Remember, I already told you that grids are just about column and row. So let's start with grid column first. So to do that, you have to start with grid column template, grid, and don't forget everything must be completely the same. Grid template columns. Okay, you must have it that way, otherwise it won't fly, and your spellings must be complete. The template is without s, the columns has s. Okay, so now I want the column. How do I want the column to appear? There's what we can use: percentage, you can use pesos, you can use fraction, you can use repeat, you can use mass width. Okay, you can use any of this. But let's start with the first one. Let's start with pesos, which we've been working with pesos before now. Let's say I want this to be 3 columns of 3 pesos. How do I do it? I come over here, all right, 100 pesos, 3 column of 100 pesos, which is equal size, right? 100 pesos, then another 100 pesos. So I'm putting 1000 instead of 100. Another 100 pesos. Remember, there is no comma. And the last 100 pesos. Let's see what will happen. And I do Ctrl S for save. Did you see it? So it appeared 1, 2, 3, and all of them are the same size, 100 pesos. But you notice something. It didn't take over the whole space, right? It covered only this place. Now let's try percentage. Okay. Let's say another one we can use percentage. So another same 3 column. Let's just make it like this around, they won't be equal. Let's say 20% for this, or column of 20%. Another one should be maybe 25%, 25%, and maybe the last one should be maybe 15%. Okay, should be 15%, 15%. Okay, Control S for save. Did you see what happened? Of course, it increased, but the same thing, it didn't occupy the whole space. Now, if I want it to occupy the whole space, what will I do? Let me use 1FR, 1FR, 1FR and see what will happen. Remember, I told that these are the ones you can use. Okay, let me use, okay, I don't want to be on the same space. Let me make it different so it won't be as if they are equal. Let me make the first one 1FR. 1FR, FR stands for fraction. Okay, one fraction. Okay, one fraction. So the second one, I'll make second one 2FR, and maybe the third one 3FR. And let's do Ctrl S for save. This will happen. It took over the whole space. Now, if I'm to expand this, if I start to expand this, further that it keep on increasing, it must take over the whole space. The space we are seeing in between is that our normal padding and margin that we put. Okay, but as far as it's concerned, it's taking over the whole width. Okay, so this is exactly how this is done. 1FR. So in case you want to work and you want to occupy the whole space, what do you use? You use 1FR. Now let us come back to, let's say we make this 100% to show that you can actually combine everything that we discussed. So let's make this, the first one should be 25%. Okay, 25%. Then let's say the second one should be, or let's say 100 pesos, 100 pesos. And the last one should be 3FR. Okay, Control S for save. Did this what happen? Why the what 25% take over this, 100 pesos take over this, the 3FR did what? Cover everything. Even if you make it 1FR, let's make it 1FR because I want to explain something to you to let you know that honestly, FR is, if you want to occupy the whole width, FR occupy the, look at it. Any difference? No. It must occupy the whole width. So whatever width that remain, that FR, whether it's 1FR or 2FR, 3FR, it must occupy the width. So did you get that? Of course, I know you do. So these are not the only way you can. For example, now if I want to write this, I don't want to be writing them one FR. Just imagine if it's, let's say they are up to, this is just 4 columns, right? 1, 2, 3, 3 columns. Then what if there are maybe like 100 columns, 200 columns? So must I be writing 1FR, 1FR till 100, or 1%, 1% till 100, or 2%, 2% till 100? Of course, no. So that's why we have what is called repeat. Okay, so I can use repeat and I'll get what I want right away. Let's see how we work with repeat. So I'll just write repeat. Okay, just write repeat. Immediately you repeat, you open your bracket. Inside the bracket, that's when you type what you want to do. So I want this to be 1FR, the same size, and 3 columns because it's 3 columns right now. So what do? I first write 3, which is the column. I put my comma, give a space, 1FR. So what did I do? I'm just told the grid now that I have column, make this column to be 3 and the row should be 1FR each. So I mean there are 100, 200, 1000, 3000. You use repeat. Just write 1000, comma, then do you want 1FR? Do you want to do it in percentage? Want to do it in pesos? So that's exactly what you use to accomplish if it's enormous, if it's a lot of numbers. Okay, are you getting the sense of it? Are you learning something? Please, if you are learning something, kindly subscribe to this channel, like, share, comment, and bring more people. We have a goal, and our goal is to teach you how to design a website from the scratch. Okay, using purely HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We are through with HTML. We almost round up CSS because this grid may likely round up CSS. So we're going to proceed to where? JavaScript. So please continue coming to watch our channel, share it to people, like it, share. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what will happen. Let's do Ctrl S for save and see. Did you see it? I said it should repeat 3 column 1FR. So you see the repetition, everything is done completely. You can also come over it. Let's take it back again. Now, so if you want to have like 100 on 200 and go, that is what you make use of. Make use of what? Repeat. Okay, make use of repeat. Make use of repeat. So sorry, the other time it went by, maybe I write it wrongly. So 3, you do your repeat, put your bracket, write the 3, put comma, then after the comma you now put the number of FR you want it to be. What do? I repeat 3, 2 FR, and this is exactly how it is. This is what it's supposed to be, not the other one that it shows. Okay, now let's now go back to what we did before. Now let's leave it the way it was, which is our, say, 1FR, 1FR, 1FR. Since it's too little, let's now make use of, so 1FR 3 times, 1FR, 1FR, and 1FR, which is the last 1FR. Ctrl S for save. Oh, it's like I've made the same mistake again. Oh, I'm taking it back. Sorry, this is where the mistake is coming from. I've seen it. So let me correct it straight away. Grid, template column. So we'll start with 1FR, 1FR, 1FR. Let's for save. So now let's now add items to this. Okay, I have some bunch of text that I want to add to this. You see what will happen. I add some bunch of text to it. Let me just copy this text, a little part of the text, and then add to it. Okay, this one should be okay. Control C for copy. So let me come back here, go to our index.html. So I want to add it to any of them. Okay, could you me? It can be item 1, item whatever. Okay, let me just add it to item 2. Okay, let's add it to item 2. See what will happen. Yeah, let me save. Press for save. Now, did you see what happened immediately I add it to item 2? Notice that immediately, because there's an item now, it now dropped down, right? It now leaves a very big space that can cover everything here. So that is how grid works. Okay, so let's assume that every other one has item, but this particular one does not have any item. Grid will be able to space it based on the item. Still give you your normal 1FR or 2FR or whatever you are giving it, okay? But we do it based on the item that is there. Make sure I occupy all the items. What if I don't want this? I want everything to be exactly the same. What do? Then I have to use grid auto row or grid auto column, right? I have to grid auto. So that's when auto comes in. So let's now take it back to normal. How do I take it back to normal? I'll come over here. Now do grid auto. So it's a normal grid dash auto dash column. Grid dash auto dash column. Okay. So under grid auto column, I will now give it a size that I think we have equal size for everything there. Okay, for everything that I don't have a situation where this one no. So let's now go ahead and do it. I'll now say okay, each of so I want to be 2FR each, 2FR, 2FR, 2FR. If peradventure this size can take over this, it will take it over, but give it equally. If it cannot take it over, it has to cut it. Let's for save. Okay, so the size is okay, take it over. But what if we not give it percentage? Let's do it percentage, like 100%, 100 pesos, sorry. Let's say this 100 pesos. I'll make the other one or 50 pesos, and maybe another one, say, or 100 pesos. Okay, let's for save. So if you know that this is exactly how. Okay, we are trying to jump. Let's just leave this for now. We'll come back to it and I'll show you what this can work. But let's move to the next stage. Now we'll come back to this very soon. So let's talk about gap. Okay. So you notice that, for example, if you're working with Flexbox, you make use of margin. You use margin to kind of space it out, right? Yeah, but Grid has something that's called gap. Okay. So let's add a column gap to this. So come over here, same thing. You write your Grid. So that gap will enable you to know to give a gap on each of them. To give a gap on each of them, okay? So just do your column gap. Column gap, right? So let's make the gap to be like, say, 10 pieces. See what will happen right now? S for save. You see it? You now give it a gap of 10. Look at it. There's a gap here. There's a gap here of 10 pieces. Okay? You can make it 15, so you see it very well in case but I know you have seen it. 15 pieces gap, let's for save. Yeah, so the gap is much. So this is how you can actually give it a gap. And just when we have column gap, we also have row gap. Okay, you remember just the only difference is that the row gap will keep at the other order on the row side of it. Okay, so you have your row gap, we just finished column gap. So let's give you a row gap of say 15 pieces. But remember, it can't be the same. Also giving different pieces. Let's just give 15 pieces. So you see it. So you find out that there's now a row gap on each other and a column gap. So you have column gap, you have row gap. But also of you to be using column gap, row gap, maybe if you are working with both of them, most times you may not work with both of them, maybe working only with column or only with row. You're working with both of them. So of you to be using row gap, column gap, you can use gap. Okay. So let's remove this and use gap straight away. So all you do is you put on your gap, okay? And you make the gap, since it's normal, same thing, you make it 15 pieces. And it's going to apply, okay? Control for save. Find out it applies. Everything remains the same. Nothing changes, okay? So this is how you can work with gap, okay? So now I've added something. Let's come back and see if the other one will work. You know, we've been trying, but it didn't work. Talking about, for example, if you know that the first item 1, item 2, item 3 is now bigger and item 4, 5, 6, and the rest of them. And remember, we didn't change it. We make them equal, 1 FR, 1 FR, 1 FR. But why was it bigger? Because we added a test to one of the items. Okay. So how do you now take it back so everything will become normal equal? That's when you make use of the first one we're talking about before now, which is your grid auto. Okay, that's when it makes use of grid auto. So let's now go and add that grid auto back and see if it's going to work. Okay. So I come over here and do my grid auto template. This time around should be grid auto columns. So remember that first time we're making this 100 pieces, 100%. No, you don't do it that way. If it's 200 pieces, if it's 100 pieces, if it's 50 pieces, just once. Okay, you don't have to do it for the three, all of them again. Because grid auto column will automatically apply to all, just the way gap applies to all. Okay, so let's say we want to make this to be, say, 130 pieces. Okay, 130 pieces. So I save my work. Oh, it didn't work on my system, but it may likely work on your system. But this is exactly how you can do it. Okay, when make it 130, 100, or 200 pesos, it's going to apply to all. And if the item is too much, maybe the item is becoming too much that it can't carry it in that 200 pesos, it's going to make sure that it cut the item. Okay, cut the item. Mine didn't show. I don't know why it didn't change, but it's supposed to change. This is the right format for it. Google it, YouTube it. This is the right way for you to do that. Okay. So for you to now come back to the normal, maybe now the thing I've cut, you can't see most of your text. Now I want to bring your text back to normal. There is what we call min mask. Okay, that's what we call what? Min mask. So that's when you make use of min mask for that same grid auto. Okay. So grid dash auto dash columns. Then here you have your min mask. So what is the work of min mask? Min mask is not only for auto, you can apply min mask to those things we've done before now. Min mask is just trying to be like minimum and maximum, kind of greater than and less than. Okay, so okay, this item I want to have a min mask of say 100 pesos and 200 pesos, or 100 pesos and auto, or 200 pesos and auto. Okay, so that is what min mask is all about. So let's make this 100 pesos and auto. So the auto will enable you to make sure that these messages that was caught will no longer be caught to come out completely. Okay, so that's why you use auto. So Control S for save, and you see because it didn't cut when we did, that's why everything remained the same. That means that the first one we did applies, the second one you see that the second one works. But this is exactly how you can do that. Okay, this is exactly how you can do that. So we just talk about column. What about row? Row is the same process. There's no difference, the same process. Okay, but the only difference is that you use grid template rows. Remember, first is grid template columns. So let's go ahead and do it. Grid template rows. Grid template rows. And I will also apply min mask here since we did apply min mask at the beginning before now. Okay, so I'll do the first one, which is our normal 100 pieces. 100 pieces. So what these sites we are talking about now, we apply to the rows. Why the one applying to the column? This will apply to the rows. 100 pieces, 100 pieces, 100 pieces. Control S for save. This will happen. It cut it immediately. Okay, and when it cut like this, that's where you remember your min mask, right? Don't forget your min mask to get your item back. So this cutting is only what you're supposed to have gotten when we did auto, but I don't know it didn't work on my system, but it might work on your system. Okay, so we've gotten the row. If you all the rows now 100 pieces all through. You can also use percentage. You can also use percentage, exactly what we did with column. So you can make this 25%, 5%, make this 20%, 20%, and you make the other one maybe same 25%. Okay, and 25%, and you save. You see, it expanded a little bit. So you can also do it 1FR, 1FR, 1FR. Do it 1FR, 1FR, 1FR. Okay, and we are just using three column. Let me use two. Okay, let's use two. You can use two. You can remove this one. Let's just be just two rows. Okay, so show that I can't just be three. It can be two. It can be one. It can be 100. Anyone applies. If you take now, you find out that the rows are 2 while the columns are 3. So you can also make use of repeats. You can make use of repeats, and let's say 3 rows, repeat 3, comma, or say 2FR. Okay, as for save, it can be 100% to, can be 100 pieces, 200 pieces, 30 pieces, 10 pieces. Okay, so I'm just using 2FR, but it can be other things. Okay, so you can also have your min max. Let's apply min max right now. You have your min max here. I have min max and repeats almost the same, but little difference. You have your min max. Just that min max I do it minimum and maximum. Okay, that minimum it should be 100 pieces, maximum should be 200 pieces. Why repeat applies to all across board. If you are thousands of rows and columns and stuff like that. So for min max, min max, let's say 100 pieces, or let's say 1FR and 2FR. 1FR and 2FR. Okay, as for save, you see it. So immediately min max, we make sure that you obtain exactly what we said told you before. Now remember this in cut, it cuts. Okay, admin with that O to work, that's not supposed to cut. But with min max, it will not come up. Okay, so this one will not be 2FR, this one, everything here, and the rest will now maintain the 1FR, while the main one we have the 2FR. So min max help you to bring out your test in case maybe you have a size, a height that is cut. That's the what min max especially will help you to achieve. Okay, so I think we'll drop here all this for now. So maybe in our next class, we'll now move on to some other areas of grid, like the one we did in Flexbox. We handle those ones a little. Then we'll now move on to other areas of grid. How you can actually expand this, your rows, your columns, and stuff like that. So see you in our next class, and thank you for hanging around with Ceiven today. Bye.